Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Tuesday Training. My name's Tony Merwin. This is episode 11, AEP Checkup from the Neck Up. Man, we've got Melissa MacCalla coming on today. We're going to bring her on here in a little bit to talk to you guys and kind of help you make sure that your AEP is going the way you want it to go. Right? Are you hitting your goals, are you hitting your metrics, are you getting the activity out there that you need? But there is something that I want to talk about real fast before we get her on the show. Everybody out there that's in the Medicare space, you know all these new rules that are happening, right? We got to record our calls. We got disclaimers we got to do all this kind of goofy stuff, so to speak, right? And it's all designed ultimately for the protection of the consumer, which is good news. The reason I'm bringing it up right now is because I want to remind you of the importance of it. And I know you're getting emails from every single carrier out there. I mean, I got another email from Humana today reminding me of the requirements of TPMOs and what they have to do. But the reason that I want to remind you is because I am currently, as of yesterday, working with an agent who has now gotten their first complaint. And I can tell you just from looking at it, it's not a legitimate complaint. It is what it is. You know, consumers get confused sometimes. They make decisions that they end up having buyer's remorse over. So I would say if there's anything maybe that this agent is guilty of, maybe that he didn't develop enough trust on the call. But here's what happens in the complaint, right? The carrier sends the complaint over to the broker that works with that agent. And then they give you all the requirements. And what are those requirements that are in there now? It's no longer just, hey, we need a written statement from you and proof of your scope of appointment. Right now, this guy has to create his written statement that counters what the customer complained about. He has to provide the copy of the scope of appointment. He has to provide the method that the application was signed. Is it an electronic signature, by email, by text? Is it a wet signature? He has to also provide all of the recordings. So he had to go back through his system and obviously download all those recordings. And then now he has to provide all that data and get it over to Humana, right? Or whoever the carrier might be in this case. So just be on your P's and Q's is really what I'm saying, because unfortunately, even when you're doing the best of your ability, consumers make mistakes and they do sometimes get buyer's remorse, and things can get misconstrued. And then you end up with a complaint at a carrier level. And then now you got to go back and prove all that stuff. So good news is this is a solid agent, knows what he's doing out there in the field. So, you know, when I looked over the complaint, and I didn't listen to his calls, he gave me 4 recordings and I didn't listen to them because ultimately most of them were about 15 to 20 or 30 minutes long. And just to be honest, I don't have that kind of time. I'm not in compliance. Let somebody else do that legwork. But, you know, I looked at everything that he supplied. I'm like, this is obviously going to be an unsubstantiated complaint. Is what it is. They'll document it. They'll move on. No big deal. Right. Now, if they do find something on those recordings, maybe that they feel like there's some coaching room on, then that's when they would come back to me and go, hey, we did notice in the recordings, you know, the disclaimer wasn't quite in 60 seconds, or maybe it wasn't said, or he didn't quite get their permission to record some of those things. And, you know, they'll throw out some coaching opportunities. But other than that, chances are, again, this is just going to be, hey, let's document it. Let's move on and get out there and keep this guy right in business, because he does write good business. So moving right along. And real quick, if you guys have any questions on those CMS guidelines and rules, please feel free to give me a holler. I'm fairly well up to speed on them. And I've got some blogs out there from PSM that go at them pretty deep. As a matter of fact, we just released a video, I think yesterday, that went out, should have gone out on our PSM Precision Senior Marketing page. And I know it's out on our LinkedIn page as well, that goes through the CMS guidelines and rules and kind of does a quasi live demo where I'm on the phone with someone kind of going through the process and kind of reading the script. And this includes not only using the disclaimer, but more importantly, this is for the voice scope of appointment. So if you guys didn't know this, and a lot of people kind of miss this, but you are absolutely allowed, especially if you're a phone agent, to do a scope of appointment by voice. So, right. So you're already recording your calls. At least you certainly should be. You're required to. But as long as you hit all the bullet points that are required in a scope of appointment, you can 100% just do it by voice. You don't have to do the form or the e-signature or the text signature on it. I still kind of like, as a phone sales agent, I still enjoy doing the physical scope with an email or text signature. And the reason why is because if I can get them through that, that's exactly how my app is going to get signed. So I don't have to coach them on the app, right? It's the same exact process for how I get that scope to them is how I get the app to them. So I kind of like doing it because if they know how to sign the scope, they're going to know how to sign my app too. So, But other than that, again, you can do a voice scope. And if you have any questions on it, I've got the script. I've dropped it in this group before, but give me a holler. But moving right along, I want to get our guest up here and chat with her a bit. She is extremely knowledgeable. She's been in the business for quite a while, works with a phenomenal team. She runs a group called Senior Healthcare Professionals out of Florida. They do a big job focused on Medicare, and I am super happy to get her on here. She's laughing. I must have said something incorrectly there. What is happening? What did I say
It's
wrong?
Senior Healthcare Solutions. I think Medicare Bob was professionals.
Well, we're all out there together, hanging out in the Tampa, Clearwater area,
Right?
doing your thing. So,
No problem.
speaking
Thanks for
of,
having me.
absolutely, thank you for joining us. So, real quick correction: Senior Healthcare Solutions is Melissa MacCalla. Now, how big is your team out there with your group?
So I'm selling during AEP full time. My mom works with us. So she
Right.
sells full time during AEP. We're trying to get her to go part time. We have an admin and then 2 other agents right now. Well, 2.5 if you include my brother Kenny, but
Now, does he work with you guys, or I thought
he
he was kind of
does.
doing his own? He does. Okay,
Yeah, he works
cool.
with us. He's on my payroll. He
Oh
does all the
no.
marketing and behind the scenes stuff. I try to get him to
Okay.
sell, but doesn't happen.
Not interested, huh?
No,
Right on. So a
no.
nice little kind of family business that you got going on there,
Yeah,
right? How long?
we
How long have you guys been running?
since 2014 is when Ken started it, and then I came on in 2016. So then, he stepped away for a few years, and went over back to AmeriLife, and then he came back in January of 2021.
Okay, awesome, awesome. Now I
Sorry.
noticed. No, it's all good. I noticed number one, your T-shirt. You got a
Right?
nice little "Ask Me About Medicare" T-shirt going on there. That's a
Yeah.
little different than what I see a lot of the other people wearing. That one's got a little more personality.
And then the back, we have the QR code on the side, which takes them to our website. And then the back
Nice.
is the Florida
Oh,
with the
very cool.
fish and the space shuttle. Because where I'm located in Titusville, we're right where the rockets go off at. So
Okay.
every time, so we decided to put a little bit more personality into it and make it, more local. So basically, one thing we decided to do this year was brand myself locally.
How's that going for
So
you?
it's going good. I mean, we did billboards, we did the shirts, we did mailers for the first time this year for AEP. We are getting a lot more local leads, so it's working out. I mean, I think it's gonna take time. Nothing happens overnight, but
100% true.
right.
And do you do any events or anything like that, or are you mostly just branding, advertising, and getting out there running leads and so forth? Or
We haven't done any local events, but that's on my agenda for 2023 because I feel like where we're at, it's a small town, not a super small town, but there's really nobody else doing Medicare here. There's no other
Mm,
local agent. So I had told my brother, I'm like, I don't care, like starting January, like after AEP is over, we need to figure out, what we can do to start doing those events. So I'll probably be reaching out to you and Grace because I just think that'll be so beneficial to us.
it's I can tell you it's definitely helped us out and helped her out being new and getting going. We got lucky a little bit because we found a perfect event because she obviously sells to the Hispanic community, right? My wife
Right.
does. So we found an event called the Latin America Market where all the Hispanic vendors in the Round Rock, Texas area, which is a little suburb of Austin, they all come out. They set up in a big, beautiful square in old downtown Round Rock and show off their wares. And they have everybody from food vendors to people that make jewelry and custom clothing and hats and different things. And then certainly there's a few insurance vendors out there doing their thing. But we have built a pretty good presence there. I think she's been going to that event now for a year. She hadn't missed it every single month. The first Sunday of the month, she rolls out there. But I mean, her first day, she sold 2 apps, or she got 2 leads that she had
Right.
converted into 2 apps. She can't sell them there, but she converted 2 apps and she made enough money in that to basically pay for the whole event for the year because it's only costing her $40 a pop to go out there. It's not
Right.
a
And
big
so, and
deal,
it's just, they see your face every time that you're there. So it's just, you're
Absolutely.
constantly in their face too.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So it's about traffic and just getting out there and consistency. So
Right.
if I can help you on events, just give me a holler. Happy to help.
Yeah, we've done a
I,
lot of webinars and stuff, but then I did my first, like I did an event at an Edward Jones with people, and I was
mhm.
like, forget it. Like, this is what we're doing from now on.
Right on.
So
All right.
much
Cool. Cool.
easier. You get the
Now I
people right
noticed
there. So,
are those a bunch of fishing rods behind you?
I did. So you'd taken a picture from my Facebook page that was like 8 years old. My husband's a charter captain, so people think that I get to fish all the time. I think the last fish I caught actually was this summer in the Keys, where I do get to go fishing there. But we share
Okay.
an office, so this is the back view of my office. So
I
those are
like it.
all
I
some of his
like it.
fly rods. He has a lot with
Okay.
him, but yeah.
Okay, cool. What now that picture that I took of you with the fish, what kind of fish was that?
That's a redfish, and I think I was in
Okay.
Louisiana then, back before
Okay.
AEP, when you can travel during the winter months and do stuff
Yeah, yeah.
before open enrollment. So yeah, that's
Now,
what
are you
he
catch
fishes
and
for a lot.
release or do you catch and cook?
Hmm. Catch and
Catch and
release most
release?
of the time.
Okay.
Yep.
You ever catch the
Yeah.
same fish twice?
I haven't, but he has clients that have, and he has. But no, I can't. Like when we go to the Keys on vacation, I can fish, but other than that, like you know, just don't get to do it as much anymore. Kids and life and whatever else gets in the
Yeah,
way.
yeah. Understood. Understood. It takes, it's time consuming. That's a good hobby
Right.
though. I like the water. I'm not much of a fisherman, but I love the water. But all
Right.
right. So my understanding is that you have a message to talk to people about AEP to help them understand, are they meeting their goals? Where are they at in AEP? And kind of a
Right.
little, as I called it, checkup from the neck up. Is that right?
Correct.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, listen, I'm excited for it. I'm going to give you the floor. So
Okay.
it's all going to be you, and I'll be here for you if you need something. And then other than that, Melissa MacCalla, the floor's yours. Take it away.
Thank you. I just wanted to thank Tony for having me on today and giving the opportunity to talk to you guys about, how you're going and doing through AEP. All of my agents work remotely, so it's a little bit more challenging, and what we do is a little bit differently than what other agents can do. So I'm going to go into that a little bit. But basically, I'll just reintroduce myself. I'm Melissa MacCalla. Senior Healthcare Solutions has been in business since 2014. All of our agents work remotely, and I'm just going to talk about how did you prep for AEP, do a mid AEP check-in since we're 3 weeks into AEP and have about 4 weeks left of AEP, and if there's any changes that need to be made on your side to meet your goals and how you're meeting your goals. Um, Basically, right before AEP starts, we start prepping probably the end of July, beginning of August. We all know that we have to do our certs in July, starting in June. They're coming out earlier every year. But my goal is to get my certs done and kind of figure out who's been our great lead vendor through the year, how much money are we going to spend on leads, how much money are we going to spend on marketing, and how many more hours I'm going to have to put in to help my business grow during AEP. As we all know, AEP is our most profitable time of the year. So it's about putting all of those figures into place to make us, profitable. This is our first year, like I was telling Tony. We do have some billboards locally, so we've been testing that out. This is the first year that we did mailer, so once again, that's another test for us. We have been getting a lot more local leads, but however, our billboard has a vanity number, so it's kind of hard to tell. But just going into the AEP e-prep, and I hope to bring light or answer any questions that people would have. And so I'll go into that. Prepping for AEP, this was my 7th AEP going into it, and I can honestly say that every year changes, and it's not the same for everybody. I never know what to expect. During AEP, I'm a single mom. My husband is gone in Louisiana, so I have a 6-year-old daughter. Now it's a little bit more difficult because we actually have to do homework every night, so I have to balance working late, making sure her homework gets done, and all of that stuff. So before my husband leaves, which he always leaves October 1st, like we both have the same busy season, I kind of have a method to my madness. I have to make sure my daughter has childcare every Saturday when I work or something keeping her busy. I have the privilege of working from home, and she always knows that I've worked from home, so it's a little bit easier on that part. Um, but also every Saturday afternoon after I'm off of work, I'm making sure that I'm grocery shopping and getting my meal prep during the week because I do allow myself to be available to clients after 5 p.m. That's just one thing that I have. I try not to do it every night of the week. But if somebody can only talk to me, then I'm not going to lose that sale just because they can talk after 5 p.m. So I try to make a couple of nights of week that I am going to be available because it's hard. You go from working, 7, 8 hours a day to AEP. You're working 12 hours a day. You're adding in a Saturday. I'm checking emails on Sunday to see what am I going to go into Monday morning. And I want my team to be successful. And so if they're here and they're producing and putting in the hours, then I want them to know that I'm right behind them doing it with them as well. I have a great team of agents who also bust their butt during AEP. And so my goal and what I do for them is we send out a pre-AEP like little basket and a gift card. And we did like a Zoom party on a Friday afternoon and had a couple of drinks and chatted, which was a lot of fun. I'll do a mid AEP in the next week or two, something for Thanksgiving. And then we always give them a few days off at Christmas because they're working overtime as well, and they're away from their families as well for that. So it's a lot of sacrifices that everybody makes going into AEP. You set your, going away from now, you've prepped for AEP, now you're going to come into AEP and it's kind of like, what's going on? You never know, what to expect. You can be clear, like one day you can have the crappiest day and leads are rude to you, or no, you don't have any sales, or a couple fell through, to the next day you sell so much and you can be on a high. So for me, one of the things that I always tell my team and myself personally is to not let the background noise disturb you, because it can happen very easily. I think we all know the one thing about AEP is we probably don't spend as much time on social media just scrolling and doing random silly stuff, wasting some time. I know we all get on social media and post stuff about our business to help grow organically. But when you look at numbers that other people are doing in other groups, you don't know what their goals were. You don't know if they're just working during AEP or what they're doing. So you can't let somebody else's good, successful day bring down your bad day. And I think that's the one thing I always have to remind my team and remind them that they're great. And this is, what we're doing good. And this is how we are to our goals. We do check our goals daily and weekly. That's something my brother Ken does. And so we can see, we have an app goal for October, November, and December. So how much are we to our goal? Where do we need to pick up and work on? What do we need to do? So now is a good time, since we're 3 weeks into AEP, to say, hey, how much of my percentage to my goal am I at? And how much more do I need to grow? And take into any consideration, we all have Thanksgiving coming up. I woke up this morning and when Tony was talking, my phone was going off because now there's a hurricane. So probably gonna have a daughter home from school, and luckily I can still work, hopefully, if we don't lose power. But you have to take into consideration all the outside factors as well when you go into it. So for us as a team, we are meeting our goals so far. Not that it hasn't been, there's been a day where we had no sales. So that's very discouraging as well. But like I said, it's just keeping the positive attitude and coming back in the next day and saying, I'm going to do this, or today I will do this differently. I know yesterday was a big day for our team. So that was great. Whereas I think Friday was a not so good day, So you have to take all of those things into consideration. How many more apps do you need from today? It's November 8th. We have 4 weeks. December 7th, Wednesday, December 7th ends AEP. And then you have Thanksgiving in there. Some people take Thursday and Friday off, or only Thursday. I personally work Fridays and Saturdays a little bit. I know a lot of people are with their families and doing stuff. And I know a lot of you are agents yourself. So one thing you do is probably you can make a couple of calls from your house or check in on a couple of people. And that's what I like to do, because when you come back from Thanksgiving, you're basically looking at about 10 more selling days. You come back on a Monday and you have a week and a half of selling AEP. And at that point, you're getting all of the stragglers too. So they're going to be the ones who want your attention now and demand it. So where are you at in your goals? And if it's not working, what can you do to make a change? I was telling Tony that we tried something new this AEP with some call-in vendors and call-in leads. And, it's all depending on the person, and it just wasn't for our agents. It's not that my agents can't sell. It's different when you're buying data leads or you're getting referrals, and how you talk to the person, how you sell them, as with the call-in and transfers, can be a little bit differently. So when that wasn't working for us, we pivoted and went back to a way that we knew was going to work for us. Was it a hard transition? And yes, did we try it during AEP? We did. But sometimes you have to take those gambles and kind of say, all right, like, maybe it's working for somebody else. Let's try it, because that would be great if it worked for us. Doesn't mean that we're not going to try it again in the future, just not right now during AEP. So if you're not meeting your goals, what can you do to meet your goals and get you to where you want to be at the end of AEP? And if you are meeting your goals, don't slack off. You still need to keep going till the end of AEP and just helping your business grow. I'm sure a lot of people that are watching are more independent agents. Like I said, I have a small agency, we want to grow next year. I want to hire 2 more agents. I sell full time during AEP. I enjoy it. I don't not enjoy it. I love being able to talk to the customer and help them, but I can't sell and run an agency full time. It just kind of starts to take a toll on you, and you have to do mental check-ins, which everyone should be doing during AEP, as well. I make sure that that my employees take time for themselves and that I take time for myself. I don't, if you need to go do something, you need to go get it done. You don't want to be completely burned out, especially halfway into AEP. And I'm not going to lie, I was probably one of those people the first week of AEP that had preloaded my calendar of like current clients or leads that I needed to follow up with. And the first week of AEP, I was saying to myself, I don't think I can work like this the entire AEP. What am I going to do? Like, a change needs to be made this week. And one of my agents felt that way too. So her and I talked, and we worked through it for the next few days and said, all right, like, we need to change our mindset. This is going to get us nowhere and do us no good. So if you need to do that with yourself or any of your agents as well, you've got to make sure that you have that positive mindset. So if something that you're doing right now isn't working, then, go to somewhere else, try new lead sources. A great thing to have in this industry, I met Tony last year, but is to, make sure that you have a good support system, not only with family and friends, but for people in the industry as well who understand and know what you're going through. So if you've had a rough day, you can reach out and call them and say, you know what, or message them and say, I just had a really bad day. So somebody else who can talk to you and say, you're doing great. This is what this is what you can do, or just somebody else to bounce ideas off of, so that you're not alone. When the live transfers weren't working for me, I talked to another agent friend, and she was kind of saying the same thing. Well, we're trying it too, and we're selling this many a day. So it's great to get involved in the insurance groups and go to conferences and meet other people and just have somebody else who is like you to help, bounce the ideas off and do that kind of stuff. That's really worked out for me as well. Just get out there, and you have to do that. Even in your community, you have to get out there and put your face forward and take the step, especially if you want to grow your business, which I think, that's what we're all here to do. We're all doing some type of insurance, whether it's Medicare, whether it's ACA or annuities or life insurance. You're doing that. You can't just rely on referrals. You're doing this too because you love what you do, and you love helping people. You love helping them save money, helping them find a plan that works for them. So think of all the positives of why you're doing this and what you're doing it for. And then, so once we have 4 weeks left of AEP, what else are you going to do? How are you going to grade yourself? How are you going to do it? Is there an event that you can go to help meet your goals? Is there something with your Chamber of Commerce that you can do? Are you doing enough door knocking if you're an agent that goes door knocking? Are you following up on old leads? Do you have a workflow in progress? So if you couldn't get a hold of a lead, then they're getting automation. So do you have automation workflows in progress? That has helped us a lot this year as well, is having that in place. But just make sure you're following up with everybody and not missing out on any money that you could potentially have. So I think that's about all I have, Tony. in a mouthful. I can't hear you.
Whoops, had my mic muted there. Sorry.
That's okay.
You brought up a couple of points that I really like, and I kind of want to dig in with you. Number one, right? So if someone's sitting there, they're halfway through AEP right now, right? And they look at their goals or they look at their production, like, you know what? I'm behind, right? I'm
Right.
at the halfway point and I'm not there. If you see that, like if you're looking inside your business, you're like, hey, we're not on target to meet our goal. What's the first thing that you look at next?
A couple of different things, because I mean, the first week or 10 days, I wasn't on target. So what can we change and what do we need to do? Am I listening to my agent's phone calls and, and thinking about my own phone calls? It's so easy for us to look at our day and, become overwhelmed before the day even starts and say, I have so much to do. How am I going to get it all done? Then you finally get somebody on the phone and you're thinking about everybody else you need to call. You're not taking care of that one person that's on the phone that you can sell to. And, how can you cross sell? It's funny. I didn't talk about cross selling, but my mom, she has sold the most cross sells for cancer policies this AEP. Like, and then last month in October, I didn't sell any dental, vision, and hearing. And I have one agent who like adds them onto everything. And I was like, well, I guess you need to go back and call all my people. Because clearly, like, I didn't lead by example then, But yeah, it's just trying to see, like, who were we selling? What were we selling? Were they, what can we do to make it different?
Understood. What cancer products do you guys sell primarily? Do you have a favorite one out there?
Aetna.
Aetna? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's definitely one of the best ones out there. I like it too.
Yeah.
Another thing that you talked about was kind of understand, okay, we're here to work, right? You work your tail off, right? You're working Fridays, you're working Saturdays, you're pushing hard through AEP, you're selling full time. But then you also kind of made that realization after that first week, like, wow, can I continue this pace? So it made me think, like, how, because I suffer from this too, right? And I
Right.
think a lot of salespeople do, especially when you're newer in sales and you want to get clients, you're trying to grow your book, right? So there's that sense of urgency that we get because AEP is crammed into 55 days. We have a sense of urgency to scoop up as much business as we can. What are some of the, like, how do you think an agent can best balance their sense of urgency to go make money and create a good book of business versus, man, I got to take care of me too. I got to make time for my family. I got to make time for my mental health, my physical health. I got to get some sleep. I got to drink water. Like, what are some of the things that you kind of think about or would advise an agent to kind of keep
Right.
themselves in check that way?
Yeah, I'm very like oriented. Like, I'm a multitasker, and I get it that everybody's not the same, and everybody's,
Sure.
everything is different. But I know for myself that on Tuesdays and Thursdays, I drop my daughter off at Before Care, and I go work out from 7:15 to 8, and I'm back in the office, by 8:15, 8:30. I'm doing what I need to do, and then once a month, I'll just make time for myself because when you're working late, like, I put my daughter to bed and it's 30 minutes of downtime and then I'm just exhausted, too. But I think it's just something that comes naturally or that I've learned over the years. I make sure just because I'm home with her or just for any agent that, has a family and stuff, I make sure that every weekend we're doing something fun because
Mm-hmm.
I'm so busy during the week. So whether it's we go to a theme park with friends or we're going out to dinner with friends or what we're doing, her and I are going to the park where it's just some one-on-one attention with your kids and your husband. Luckily I don't have to worry about him right now, so that makes it easier. But you have to make sure you do. I mean, we talk on the phone, how was your day? Well, you caught fish and I sold Medicare. I mean, come on, nothing more to talk about, really. That's how I feel. Like, I'm just straight to the point. But it's real, you just have to make that time or just even reward yourself or your family afterwards. Like, for me this year, I was on the phone when my cousin and I were together, and before AEP started, and she's like, my daughter wants to go to New York City. I said, so does Morgan. Well, the day after AEP ends, I'm flying to New York City for a fun girls weekend. And you just have to make sure you're working hard for a reason. You're working hard and owning your business so you can have that income and spend time with your family. Just know, like, of course, there's days I get frustrated that I'm working late and my daughter's playing by herself. But at the end goal is for me to work as much as I can right now to be able to enjoy and do other things, you know?
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
it's just
Cool. I've
having
always
that
enjoyed,
regiment.
yeah. I've always enjoyed rewarding myself with free
Right,
time, right?
right,
For hitting a certain goal, like set up short-term targets, hit it, and then like, cool, now I get a day that I can go play golf and relax or just do whatever, sit
right.
and watch
And
the
that
baseball
day
game if
has
I
to
have
be
to.
the day that, like, you don't turn on your phone, and not you're turn on
Right.
your phone, but you're not checking work emails or replying to stuff because you need to shut that down too. If you don't shut that down, which I do have a hard time doing, then it's just going, yeah,
It just runs. Right.
right.
Absolutely. That's where
Yeah.
I had a little trouble sleeping last night, I'll be honest, because I've got quite a bit of that running in my head right now. I
Right.
have a lot going on. So
Right.
one final thing I wanted to kind of pick your brain about, you talked about automation a little bit, right?
Mhm.
And using automation to accelerate your reach, your touch points, et
Right.
cetera. What automation platform do you guys use?
Well, right now we're using Radius.
Okay.
So, we had come from Agency Block, and we've been using Radius for about a year and a half. But we are going to change as far as I know. My brother handles all that, but as far as I know, we're going to change to Justin Brock's CRM next year, which still has
Okay.
the same
Yeah,
type
yeah.
of automation and stuff. But it's nice, you build it all out, you send clients text messages, and sometimes that's how they respond, and that's great. And I can just go in and text them back, and or just how I've had a few people who, got our monthly newsletter who before weren't interested or were staying with their plan, and we've been able to convert them. Whereas without automation, all those leads that you've bought in the past, you're kind of just wasting,
Right.
you
Aside
know.
from the obvious need for automation, right, to be able to touch people while you're doing something else, right? Because
Right.
kind of gives you the ability to duplicate yourself, right, to a certain extent. What would you say are some do's and don'ts in some of the messaging? And I don't mean from a compliance standpoint, like we know we have to put the please, reply stop if you want us to quit messaging you, whatever, those things.
Right.
But other than that,
And
like
they
what
still
kind of
don't
things
put
do you
stop.
think they should be, right? And they still don't. They're like stop, never call me again.
Right.
Anyway,
Yeah.
what would you say are like some of the key points that you should conclude in your automations? Like, what are some things that you can add that would raise the notch a little bit versus just like, hey, it's me trying to sell you Medicare. Like, are you interested or
Right.
not? Like, what were some items that you might add in there that you think are really solid that help improve your automations?
Hey, Joe. Personalization first of all, you've got to make it personal. You can't just say, "Oh, you requested information regarding Medicare." Like all ours always say, "This is so and so, whatever agent it is." And we have our automation set up based off of each call queue. So they get a text message and or an email, within so
Hmm.
many hours or so many days. Or, sorry, I've missed you. Do we have the correct number? Let us know if this isn't the correct number. Um, or we have like a T65 workflow. So if you're turning 65 or even like retiring, two different workflows, but this is what you should be doing in a certain amount of time frame. When we have in the automation, subscribe to our newsletter, visit our Facebook page, or, visit our website, that kind of stuff.
Okay, right on. I like it. I like it. Good stuff. We do some of the one thing that we've added that does help us a little bit. We created our own little ebook guide to Medicare in Spanish, right? And so we always
Ah,
link that in our T65 workflows, right? We're like, hey, in the meantime, click this and it'll answer a lot of your
the
questions. Give us a
Medicare
holler.
ebook, right?
Yeah, it helps. It's the idea is that it will obviously increase the buyer intent because it helps us look more like professionals.
Right.
Hey, look, we've got our own book, we have our own guide, we know what we're talking about, we're the pros, and so it definitely helps us out. So that's one thing that we work. But well, cool,
Nice.
man. Well, I really appreciate you taking time to
Thank
come on
you.
and
It
chat. You
was
did a
nice.
phenomenal job, and I
Thank you.
enjoyed getting to meet you last year in Alabama at Guru. I think that was that the first
Right.
time we met. Was it Medicare
Chicago
Con?
at the
Was it
MedSup
Chicago?
conference.
The MedSup conference in
Yeah.
Chicago. That's right. I remember that now. Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, listen, how can people find you? If people want to reach out to Melissa MacCalla, pick her brain, learn from her, maybe come work with her in some fashion, how do they locate you?
Yeah. We have our Facebook page. I have a Senior Healthcare Solutions. I also have a Facebook group for my clients and for other people. It's Medicare with Melissa, but our website, Senior Healthcare Solutions, or they can just give me a call at 866-633-4427.
Awesome. You have a Facebook group for your clients?
Hmm.
How's that working out for you?
It's good. I mean, I haven't been too involved in it in the past month, but it's good. I post any articles that I do, like any blogs that we do, or another thing I completely forgot about because I haven't done it in a month is TikTok. So when I do a TikTok, I'll post it in there for them to kind of see and learn about. I need to get more people into the group, but it started out pretty good. And then, our clients will invite their friends, and it's nice because they can just come in there and ask questions about what they want to know. Joe's
Understood.
all about the Facebook groups. Yeah.
That dude is the king of Facebook groups. What
Right.
what are some methods that you use to get people in your Facebook group? Your
Oh, I
clients?
tell my friends to invite them all.
Just tell your friend, okay, right on. Because that's something that we're finding as a challenge, right?
Right. Like, yeah, so maybe add that into our automation or, some of the emails, like join our Facebook group, for all of your Medicare questions, where it's not as intimidating, because it's not something that's posted. Unfortunately for us right now, we're not posting every day in there, but just you can post stuff. Hey, it's halfway through AEP. Have you reviewed your plans? Have you looked at it?
Makes sense. Makes sense. Well, listen, thank you again. Comments are great. Everybody loves you.
Thank
Medicare with
you.
Melissa, guys, Senior Healthcare Solutions. Thank you so much for coming out. And I'm going to leave you with one little thing. I'm curious, is it a common joke in the office like, hey, are you going to fish or cut bait? Do y'all carry that over between the
Oh,
charter and then hanging out in the Medicare office too sometimes?
no, I'll do both.
Right on. Well, thank you again for coming on, guys. Give her a
Thanks.
shout and look
I
her up
appreciate it.
sometimes. Absolutely. And stay tuned. Next week, we've got Mr. Cody Assens coming on to join us right here, Training on Tuesday. We're here every Tuesday, 9 a.m. We'll see y'all next time.
Thanks,
Thanks.
Tony. Bye.
Yes, ma'am.